Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. It is another wonderful Wednesday. It may be a bit wet on the outside, and in the luck, if you're in your shower and you're able to get some warm, running water that soothes the muscles, hey, well, this will be wet in your shower as well. Well, anywhere that you are, if it's a good place, well, enjoy it and be thankful. I'm truly honored to be in this sphere in the excellent company of Mr. Loxlow Banks as we give you a preview of some excellent things we're going to be talking about towards the end of the week. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we invite you. If you have a question, a comment, a query, you just want clarification, or you want to engage, learn and be informed, but to take that knowledge and share so that at the end of the day, we don't live in a vacuum, we don't exist in a void. Mr. Loxlow Banks, if you don't mind me saying public, it is truly for me an honor, as we were just sharing during the break. I won't talk about the school, to be able to sit in the presence of people who are willing to impart their life experiences, the things that they still can share anyway, and make you feel
that's not always the case.
Well, we've had, thankfully, with the passage of time, some things become declassified, and you can.
But you know what you just said there relates so much to the information that our people have that's being lost because of just that little life twist there that we mentioned.
And that's why. And I mean this one. That's why I think we should not take for granted where we live, the time in which we live, and with whom we live, because we travel. Okay, right now we can't travel, and we can get into that discussion as to why and what. But put that aside for a second. But our people left there at one time on a boat. We come from an island, and you would probably not think, well, wait a minute, that little place had such an aviation sector at that time of history.
I think Caymanians as a whole are probably still maintaining, I would say, one of the most traveled island communities in the world.
Yeah, well, I tend to agree, and I hope that this does not disrespect anybody. But I'm hoping that if it does, that we'll reflect on it. So a good friend, I won't call her name because I don't, next time I want her to buy lunch, but I just can't. She reminds me that as contemporaries, we travel and we don't not just go away to go to shops or to go to playgrounds. We'll go to restaurants, we'll go to museums, we'll go to try to look at how, for want of a better word, subdivisions are being done. We want to learn about things, right? We deliberately go places. But it would appear, and this is the part that I don't want to offend anybody, it would appear that a lot of us will go away to go to a shopping spree. Not that we need stuff, not that we can't get stuff here, but that's the only time we go away, and that's the only places we go. And yet, right next to that nice, fancy shopping place, there's this historical park, there's this monument, there's this thing but we never see it, right? And that's not good for us.
Yeah, you know, but relate that now to some of our seamen that they went all over the world, and the majority of them didn't wind up in the first lounge. The majority of them wound up in museums because that's
curiosity.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I mentioned travel a while ago. There's no story that a Caymanian had traveled to Shanghai in China, and this was many years ago. And he related this story, I guess, later years. And he said, you know, I was walking down the street in Shanghai, and I thought to myself, you know, I ain't gonna run into any other Caymanian in this place, because that was still in those days kind of remote. And he says it wasn't too long before he heard somebody coming up behind him whistling "Muncie Boat in the South."
Of your SB, huh?
I mean,
yes, sir. But thanks for sharing that. And as we sit and chat and preview and hopefully invite people to engage us, you know, today and also as we took out the show on Friday, that we start to look at what from us, it was our parents, for some of our grandparents, and the older members of our families, but
and contemporaries,
and exactly, and the travel, and when we look at our maybe our children, or certainly our siblings who know they want to leave Cayman, not because they feel confined, but because there was a place that they had visited and want to return, or there's a place that they had planned that they would like to go to see. You know, they just don't want to watch the documentary or read about it in some book. They want to go and explore this for themselves. And that level of exploration and adventure that I think is innate, certainly as you say, for an island nation, we have that. And we want to, again, be able to engage in that. And as I, listen to you, regale the stories, I get to live vicariously, but then I get to pick from the history books, little bits and pieces. If I may just share, a gentleman, I was hoping that I would be able to reach him today and ask him to call in. He was telling us a story. My brothers were probably, easily recall it much more vividly, but some of it I think is embellished. But hey, it wouldn't be a good West Bay if you can't spin a yarn, right? And he's talking about being in some sort of vessel going up, what I would see as a canal. On this side, you stay close to the side, you're a little safer. Drift a little too far to the side, you might get shot. And there's an unfortunate war transpiring, and you better be careful, right? And as he paints this story, it isn't that he's talking about some movie he saw. He's telling you about an experience that he had, right? And when you think, well, this is a fellow who, right now, has lived a part of history, and then you think to you, in our case, our fathers, misadventures sometimes, being a part of a convoy and up ahead, a vessel goes down, or just right behind you, another one goes down because the munitions on board explode because it hits a mine of some sort. It wasn't an easy life. It wasn't a time of just peace. And maybe we're facing that time once again.
Well, yeah, probably on a different level, a different, and it's certainly out there. Churchill said, and this was right after the war, after war had ceased in Europe. He said, the next wars will be fought in the mind.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we're at today.
Yeah, I may, certainly not to distract, or certainly in any which way, get the conversation off track. But in preparing for a discussion on Friday, I looked back to old articles. I looked at some new publications of more contemporary magazines, from Rolling Stone to something on one of the more respected sort of international newsprints. And thinking that here we are, presumably in this time of peace, and trying to appreciate that the U.S. as the world's police, as it were. How many years of peace has it been at? And how many of the last 200 years has it been at war or involved in some conflict? And then again, looking at the statistics that are available, how many of its people are being conscripted? Not the real word today, but certainly being engaged in the armed services. How much of its physical development and investment in its physical building, say, compared to China? You know, one hand is a democracy and a strong capitalist society, other hand is a controlled autonomous society. And with that investment, where is the movement of its people into poverty or out of poverty compared to China? And
and that kind of spills over, and I think most what you would was referring to would probably relate to the military or the war expenditures.
Yes, sir.
But it also spills over into some other areas that I think probably will give you back more return on your expenditures, if that, because you remember, I think on when the first adventure to the moon, that is the moon trip to land on the moon, Ralph Abernathy said, to think and I kind of paraphrase this if I can remember it, to think where we're at today and the money that we have spent on this project, and that was, I guess, from the Mercury astronauts up through the Apollo, that was probably a span of, 6, 7, 8 years. He said, and to think today of all the money that we've spent on this project, and to still think that there are people in the U.S. that is this morning or today hungry. So, and that really gives you a picture of what you just talked about.
And then I say that because, one, I think we repeat, but we rarely would sit and reflect on it. If you don't know where you've come from, how do you know where you're going? But then how do you also appreciate where you are? And if a country has committed money to, whether it's military and defense, or whether it's physical infrastructure, investment, education, healthcare, and it's not just what it's done during one particular political administration, but is there a plan for ensuing decades? And then when you have the benefit of hindsight, maybe it's collected and retained properly, assess and analyze its statistics, and it goes back and say, well, the last decade or the last 50 years we've spent trillions, whatever the numbers, and we can go through it and analyze it. Is there a deliberate, conscious attempt to now consider what are we going to do going forward? What can we afford to do? What will be the impact? And as you just reminded us, that comment about being fought in the wars being fought in the mind isn't something that is no longer a reality. Just look at where we are today and how many people have been confined to their own thoughts. Their movements are being regulated, their consciousness to a great extent almost taken, and now we're being conditioned. Well, Miss Susan has reminded us that, listen, boys, I'll be here on herself on 2 West Beers. We're going to pause Mr. Loxton, take a break, let the camera... No, she didn't say that. People, she did not say that. She's as pleasant as all camera backers are. But we're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, give us a preview of some of the things. I forget sometimes that in your presence, I get lost with all the good things that you were able to remind us of. But share with us, and we invite you to rejoin us after the break.
It's the Tempur-Pedic and Sealy Summer of Sleep Mattress Sale. On now at Brand Source Home Gallery. Tempur-Adapt Hybrid Queen Mattress now just $19.99. Save $500 on all Tempur-Breeze mattresses. Save $200 on all Sealy Hybrid mattresses. Check out Brand Source Home Gallery's wide selection of Tempur-Pedic and Sealy mattresses and enjoy savings during the Summer of Sleep Sale. On now at Brand Source Home Gallery. Visit us at 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more information.
Come out this Friday night to South Coast Bar and Grill and Breakers to celebrate the 3rd annual Cayman Night. There will be live entertainment by Rex Watler and the Impulse Band, Lamy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. Music will start at 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Come out and enjoy some good old soca, merengue, calypso, and country music. It's the 3rd annual Cayman Night at South Coast Bar and Grill and Breakers. It's happening Friday, August 14, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. with live entertainment with Rex Watler and the Impulse Band, Lammy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. So don't miss this annual event. Admission is by small donation at the door. Let's celebrate true Caymanian way. See you all there this Friday, August 14, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. at the South Coast Bar and Grill and Breakers, a true Caymanian experience.
Hi, this is Danny Coleman, Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We are now in the hurricane season, and for information on how to prepare and stay safe, please visit our website, www.caymanprepared.ky. Some top tips to bear in mind, given that we are still in the midst of COVID-19. Please make sure you have a mask and sanitizer, you have food supplies to last for 3 to 5 days, a portable radio, personal hygiene and sanitation items, and medical supplies, and any other specific items your family may need during a hurricane. Make sure you know where you will shelter in the event of a storm. If you have pets, please make sure provisions are in place for them too, as the majority of shelters will not take pets. Please visit our website for more tips and tricks on www.caymanprepared.ky or call us on 945-4624. Stay safe, Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm very grateful that Mr. Loxley Banks not only would share a few minutes to give us a preview of what we have. Well, no, I say we, but honestly, I got to thank you publicly for not only the energy and enthusiasm and the industriousness, but you've been shuffling about the studio, doing all these things, putting the stuff together, and I'm thinking to myself, you should be retired out on the catboat, but you in here working harder than some of us young folks.
Well, it is a wee effort, and a lot of folks will contribute into this effort on Friday.
Yes, sir.
And as we all, I've seen some stuff on television come across the networks that, Friday, the 14th of August, 1945, marks the end of World War II hostilities. And that was the day that the Emperor of Japan announced that Japan would sign the unconditional surrender to the Allies. And it's basically referred to as the end of the war. Of course, there was housekeeping stuff to be done, getting people to the table and so forth and so on. But that's referred to for the end of the World War too. And we're going to try to present it from a historical standpoint, that is to Cayman. But the contribution that Caymanians made in this effort, and there were many who, some of them paid the supreme sacrifice, and a lot of them paid almost that and paid a lot of other things, to secure and build a foundation that what we have here in Cayman today is built on.
And it's something that I was, again, just trying to understand history. Again, you can look back sometimes at something maybe easier than you can look forward. At least they say hindsight's 20/20. And we look at the Caribbean. Trinidad was British, Jamaica was British, Cayman, Belize. They were strong. Some of the independent nations, they were British, and the alliance between them and the U.S.
Well, prior to World War II, there was not many independent Caribbean nations.
Yeah, and primarily here they were British, right?
Yeah.
And so you facilitated the war effort based on what resources could be extracted and utilized, and the need to protect certain things. And I was speaking with someone in recent times, and they were surprised that, wait a minute, you actually have documented cases of the German, having subs in this region, and not just in this region, but for some reason, a lot of them were in the Cayman waters.
Right close up along Iron Shore in South Sound.
Yeah.
Coming up in what we will be presenting on Friday, you will hear a narrative specifically referring to that from a seaman who in latter years was on a ship, of course, and he had a German shipmate, and when he found out he was from Cayman, the Caymanian said he could tell him more about South Sound waters than he knew.
Than the Caymanian knew? Yeah. And when you start to look at things, I'm wondering how much of that has been lost for all sorts of reasons, but the least of which is the disrespect that we may have for our oral history and the inability or unwillingness to record it because it may not accord with a particular narrative from whatever perspective. And growing up, you hear a story about this and a story about that, and then as you get older, there's strong correlation. So it wasn't just something somebody made up. It had enough that it wasn't repeated and became, common play. It was actual fact that transpired.
Well, as a island community, Three Islands community, I think we have always, up until today, present today, neglected, and I use the word neglected because I think there should have been a more organized, more official approach to preserving some of this history. And that same official, organized approach is still not at the level that it needs to be.
Yeah, true.
And, if you don't know, and we keep using this cliche, but if you don't know where you've been, it's make it a lot difficult to plot where you want to go. And, history shines a bright light on the path forward.
Yeah. And when we sometimes used to say, because I think it has changed and it's changing, thankfully, that we didn't have pride in our people or in our histories because we didn't know. It wasn't enough of it that was accessible. And as we talk more and more to our children and our young people, as we ourselves talk about these things more and more, it's not nostalgia. It's the final recognition that, take for instance, you, Captain Paul, just for instance, just the two of you, being able to sit in the studio, whether with me or others, and talk about things that you were able to engage in. Now, some of it can only be shared now because time has passed and there's approval to share it publicly. But how many more of our people have been engaged in activities that will forever have to remain?
Well, a lot of it is lost. A lot of it is gone.
Yes,
it's gone into that great beyond.
and not good, in a sense, because then the people never know the sacrifice of their own. They don't know the pride with which they were held. But anyway, you share with me, sir.
Well, I think on Friday, they will get a good bird's eye view of some of what we're talking about in reference now to Caymanians' contributions during World War II to that effort. There will be a specific narrative from at least 4 or 5 of the people who contributed directly to that effort. I mean, we had Caymanians in the Dunkirk.
Yes. Would you say arena?
Rescue.
Okay.
Rescue. That's what they did. We had Caymanians on the front lines in Europe. We had Caymanians on the front lines in the Pacific, because the front lines in the Pacific was shared almost equally by those folks out on the water and the folks who had to go ashore on the Iwo Jimos and the Okinawas and fight their way up to Mount Karabachi. Is that where the flag was raised on Iwo Jima?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Terrific sacrifices.
You shared before, and maybe we'll talk briefly Friday about it, but our own frogman, West Bay that travels and goes in and clears the harbor so that the ships can come in.
Yes, that was Denton Henning.
Right.
And, he grew up right across the street from where the little dock is in West Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And they said he knew every squab hole between Northwest Point and Southwest Point. And he was the Cayman Islands' first trained undersea diver, because this was in 1944-43 that he was a Navy frogman.
U.S. Navy.
In the Pacific, at night, going in on underwater missions, blowing up reefs and so the ships in a couple of days could get in the harbor and come in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he left here, I would think, probably in the early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it must have been before that. Probably late 30s. He probably left here. Yeah. And I don't think he ever came back.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, though. There are many of those families that...
And can I just...
Yes, sir.
Well, it goes through my mind here.
Yes, sir.
He was still alive when I came back home in 75. And I made an effort. And he went from the war. After the war, he became a championship wrestler. Some of his video is online anyway. What did he wrestle as? It was Henning was the last name, I'm sure. I can't remember. Anyway, and then I think he had a bad car accident during his wrestling career, and he became an evangelist. And I made an effort to try to get him back here for an evangelical meeting. But I was up against someone who did not have the Cayman Islands sensitivity to realize what this would have meant, and someone else who really had no sensitivity to Cayman Islands was brought in from, I think it was Ohio,
mm-hmm.
to do these evangelistic meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And today I keep thinking, I say, I'm sorry that I didn't really push, and put my hand in.
But we're polite, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't usually push. Would you let me quickly interrupt you and we'll pause, take a break, and then you have some other things to share with us?
We got a few teasers that we'll do right after the.
I say Miss Susan's the boss, but no, you're the boss. Let's take a break, and then when you come back, well, teaser. Stay tuned.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This coming Saturday, August 15th, tune into CIG TV at 4 p.m. for part 2 of a virtual concert showcasing gold and silver medalists from the 2020 National Children's Festival of the Arts, presented by the Department of Education Services. Witness performances from some of Cayman's most exceptional young talent in music, dance, and the spoken word. Follow them at Education Cayman on Instagram and Facebook for updates. Tune in to CIG TV or log on to CIG TV YouTube Saturday, August 15th at 4 p.m. for part 2 of the 2020 National Children's Festival of the Arts Showcase.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Wait to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And this is just a preview. You imagine how much more work and effort has gone into our production. Let me say on Friday. I'm going to, God's willing, we are sit here in the excellent company of Mr. Loxton and all that he has put together for us. But you had some other stuff to share so that the public understands that. Okay, go right ahead, sir.
This is a little teaser of some of what you hear on Friday, and you'll hear a lot of Caymanian voices in some of the information that we will be presenting. Caymanian voices who had the World War II experience. You'll not hear a Caymanian voice in this, except mine, I guess. and also the other cut. We got two, but Susan, if you can get that first one up, it's a minute 51 seconds.
German radio has just announced that Hitler is dead. I repeat that. The German radio has just announced that Hitler is dead.
This is a solemn but glorious hour. I wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day. General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
That was the voice of U.S. President Harry S. Truman announcing the German surrender. And across the pond, the Atlantic, in the United Kingdom, Sir Winston Churchill was echoing the same message.
May 8, 1945.
Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters, General Jodl signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Force and simultaneously to the Soviet High Command. The German war is therefore at an end. But let us not forget for a moment the toils and efforts that lie ahead. Japan, with all her treachery and greed, remains unsubdued. Advance, Britannia! Long live the cause of freedom. God save the King.
Well, that was just a little teaser from about some of the stuff that you'll hear, and you heard Churchill's there. Japan remains unsubdued.
Unsubdued.
Yeah. Now the war in Europe had ended. Had ended. They'd signed the surrender. But Japan, the war in the Pacific was probably at that time bigger than the war in Europe. And even though we had quite a number of people, men, I'm not sure whether there was any ladies that I have become aware of involved in the European theater. There were probably more men involved out in the Pacific in that effort.
Do you think that was partly? I keep thinking back to that. We are strong maritime heritage. So in the Pacific, okay, the kamikazes were there, but we know more of the boats. Europe, it was planes and the terrain was a bit different. Do you think we gravitated towards the Pacific because most of the battles were on the water? I mean, what do you think?
Well, no, I think it was just the way that
just
the way that the dice, you want to call it, fell.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of Trinidad. In Trinidad there was 250 Caymanians,
mm-hmm.
and I think all of them was on the water in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And in fact, I believe a few of them transferred over to the Pacific in a short time to get involved in that one, but was very few.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, and as I mentioned before, the war in the Pacific was really a big naval battle, even though there was a lot of ground activity in the various little islands going up there, because they were very well fortified, and the only way that they could make their step from one island to the next one, going towards where they could get close enough to Japan to, there was an invasion plan, but they didn't. But we got another cut, and I think we don't have much time, so let's run that one. Then we'll come back and kind of close it up.
Yes, sir.
And now, some echoes of history from our CI Retro's Wattle Vault. History. We mentioned earlier in the program that this week is the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, August the 14th, 1945, the date that the Emperor of Japan announced that Japan would sign the unconditional surrender to the Allied forces. We listen now to the radio broadcast of the news on that day, and to General Douglas MacArthur as he spoke at the closing of the signing of the unconditional surrender some 2 weeks later on the battleship Missouri, anchored in Tokyo Bay.
7 p.m. Eastern Wartime. Bob Trout reporting. The Japanese have accepted our terms fully. That's the word we've just received from the White House in Washington. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Second World War. The United Nations, on land, on the sea, in the air, and to the four corners of the earth, are united and are victorious. We got that information on a special line from the White House, and now it's beginning to come in on the wire services, too. President Truman announced it at 7 p.m. tonight, just a minute ago, and now a flash, MacArthur appointed Jap boss over the Emperor of Japan.
Where were you on September 2nd, 1945? If you were Jonathan Wainwright, you were on the crowded heavy decks of the battleship Missouri in Tokyo Bay, listening to an old comrade call your name.
Will General Wainwright and General Percival step forward and accompany me while I sign?
If your name was Douglas MacArthur, you have kept a date made 3,000 miles and 4 years ago.
Let us pray that peace be now restored to the world, and that God will preserve it always. These proceedings are closed.
And I believe at that moment, the world knew a moment of peace. Edward R. Murrow was the narrator there, and that was a short echo of history from the CI Retro's historical Wattle Vault.
That, and as we've been saying, there was a lot of Caymanians who made the supreme sacrifice and who fought valiantly to establish so that what we have here today, there could be a foundation established to where we could build on. I mean, Andrew Henning, and he was a cousin of the other Henning that we mentioned. For 11 months, he landed in Normandy. Mm-hmm. And for 11 months, he fought his way from Normandy all the way to Berlin, in and out foxholes and through the great forest that they had to go through. I think he wound up in Berlin, when Hitler finally, did himself in, and can't remember the name of the guy who took over, who was designated, and said, we got to sign this thing. We can't continue this anymore, or we'll all be wiped out. And it's the same way with with Japan, basically, for weeks and weeks, they had dropped leaflets over Japan, telling the people, insist on your authorities to sign the surrender, because they had told them, you have to sign an unconditional surrender if you want this thing to end. But apparently, the Japanese authorities didn't believe that the U.S. had anything, at least in the immediate, that they could back up what they were saying. They were depending on the U.S. having to invade Japan, and they thought they had the advantage in that instant, that they could fight it out and could maybe defeat them, because the logistical task that it would have been to mount a invasion of Japan, and Japan would have had an advantage because they had it, I guess, all in their backyard.
I mean, the water surrounding it, the protected reefs, the mountainous terrain, was all in their favor.
No.
But this is where then to now the geopolitics, evolve, and as a people, if you don't know, and you're not willing to listen, engage, and learn, like I'm trying to with you, how do you expect not to repeat some of the same fallacies? But anyway, Friday is going to be another education for me.
Yes,
thanks for including me.
And like I said, there will be a lot of Caymanians talking about their experience during World War II, and what they had to go through, and what their sacrifice was to build a foundation that built what we have here today.
Well, I thank you, and I hope nobody blames you for it. I give you credit, because through you, you encourage and inspire me to learn more, to sometimes be so courageous, to sometimes say things, even here, to encourage your people to think, to act responsibly, respectfully, civilly, and question our parents or leadership, even in church doing Bible study. Well, so that we are appreciative of that supreme sacrifice and don't take what we have for granted, because there are many people who don't have the freedoms and who don't know, the taste of democracy. So thank you for being so gracious.
And some of the people who take it for granted don't know this history, and it's time they learn.
Yes, sir. Well, God's willing, Friday will, give you more. Pause, and we'll take a break. And in the vein of that spirit of community engagement and involvement, we want you to return and join us after the break as we share with you on something else.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Construction work is underway on the new blast deflector at Owen Roberts International Airport. It's designed to mitigate air turbulence at ground level by deflecting air upwards for departing aircraft to protect passing pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicular traffic using the road adjacent to the fence line. The assembly and installation of the blast deflector is scheduled for completion by the end of August 2020. In international news, Russia has dismissed mounting international concern over the safety of its locally developed COVID-19 vaccine. On Tuesday, it said a vaccine had been given regulatory approval after less than 2 months of testing on humans, but experts were quick to raise concerns about the speed of Russia's work. Scientists in Germany, France, Spain, and the U.S. have all urged caution. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will make their first joint appearance as running mates in Delaware later on Wednesday. He is expected to formally introduce Ms. Harris as his choice for vice president, and both are expected to speak. Senator Harris is the first Black woman and South Asian American in the role. Germany has reported the biggest daily increase in coronavirus cases in more than 3 months as countries across the region struggle to contain a surge in infections. The latest official figures showed a rise of more than 1,200 cases in Germany in the past 24 hours. The German health minister said the increase was due in part to people returning from holidays. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Reichen-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
4 SUVs, 3 saving options, and lots of reasons you should head to the summer SUV sale now at Vamp Motors. Looking for a Ford SUV with great safety ratings? Save up to $8,000 on a new Edge and $2,000 on a new Escape. Need to accommodate an active family lifestyle? Save up to $5,000 on a 7-seater Toyota Rush. Want a fuel-efficient SUV with sporty style? Save up to $2,000 on the Toyota CHR Hybrid. Get cash back, take the full discount, or upgrade your new SUV during our summer SUV sale, where you can save up to $8,000. The summer SUV sale, Vamp Motors, Walkers Road. As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane. Debris includes roofing materials, tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles and must not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
I'm Acting Superintendent Brady Banks of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. Speeding, drunk driving, and distracted driving are all extremely dangerous behaviors that can cause accidents and loss of lives that affect not only those involved, but their families and friends alike. We wish to remind all motorists, practice safe driving habits every time you get behind the wheel. Drive within the speed limit and don't drive if you've been drinking. Give 100% of your attention to the road when driving. Equally important to note, we are now entering into our rainy season. Historically, we tend to see increased road collisions due to weather conditions, often resulting in poor visibility and wet road conditions. Remember, extra attention is required if you're driving, as well as increased vigilance of other road users. Drive safely, Cayman Island.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks for allowing us the opportunity to be able to invite through this media the opportunity for our communities to recognize the wonderful people, not just the spirit of community and giving and charity and fellowship, but the notion that we have some serious strength and loving, kind people giving always. And Raul, my good friend, I think you'll agree with me, boy. Behind every great man is even a greater woman. So we're glad that we have that, right?
Definitely. In my case, I can tell you that's certainly, Kathy is a powerful woman in so many ways, right? In faith and and in perseverance. So
there you go, man. Keeps us straight, huh?
Yes, keep me more than straight, actually.
And I think, as we speak to Raul Nicholson Cohen, his wonderful wife, Miss Kathy, with deference to Daniel, I think your daughter, just the perseverance that, what is it, apple don't fall far from the tree, but this orchard has produced, good blooms. So we have to be grateful for that next generation as we train them up. So
thank you.
Thanks very much, man. You guys have been not just a blessing and encouragement, but a strong reminder too much is given. Raul?
Yeah.
We got to keep doing, man.
Yeah, I mean, Cayman has been very good to us, right? I mean, Kathy and I've been here, I've been here for over 40 years, but my forefathers have been there from 1792. My grandfather was born here. I moved back when I was 10 years old. And Kathy's obviously wasn't born here, but, Cayman is home.
You sure she wasn't born? I thought it's
100%.
And but it has been so good to us, right? I mean, throughout the years, it doesn't matter where you travel, you always want to come back to Cayman. And during this particular period of time, I think we realized very quickly that we had to help, and we had to help in a way that we hadn't done before. So Kathy, who is, a member of the John Gray, the United Church of Jamaica and Grand Cayman, was always a very big contributor to the food pantry in West Bay. And we're sitting down at home watching TV during the height of COVID, actually, and she said, "You know what? This is a problem now. The people won't be able to come and collect from the food pantry, and we won't be able to go and buy in bulk because we can only visit twice a week. We can't buy a certain amount of items. So why don't we create a soup kitchen?"
And thanks for that. And something that you just said reminded me. There were many people like yourselves who were either through the Women's Fellowship or just through your congregation, sometimes just through the little things that you do in your school, your PTA, in your communities that you did. You went to make sure that somebody had a meal. Not an organized thing as part of any organization. Right?
Correct.
But this highlighted, wait a minute, how are they going to get this thing that we've always done without it? My one of my brothers in particular, right there, helping out. And all of a sudden you realize, whoa, we need a logistic to get it. So tell us about it, Ms. Garvin.
Okay, so as Raul said, our thing, him and I, our way of contributing, because, I'm more spiritual, and my faith in God, I might not go to church every Sunday, and that's something that I've been very, very vocal about. Going to church is good, but church doesn't necessarily make you a Christian. Some of the kindest people I've met over the years, they've never been inside of a church. But coming from Jamaica, I was brought up in the United Church of Jamaica and Grand Cayman. So when I moved to Cayman, I started visiting John Gray Memorial, which that's where I would go when I go to church. And of course, Raul would come along with me and the kids. And over the years, our way of giving back, I found out about the food pantry during my visits to church on Sundays. And during COVID, as Raul said, I was very troubled. I said, how the people that actually depend on that pantry, that go there, even if it's twice a week, to get something to eat. I mean, how am I going to be able to contribute? And I said, I think I want to start a soup kitchen. And he said, how are you going to do that? I mean, it's, it's curfew, it's all the other, And I said to him, okay, that's where you come in, Raul. You are going to contact the government curfew time, whoever you need to contact, and I'll do the rest. And he was like, okay. He said, who's going to cook the soup? I said, I'm going to cook it because I don't want anyone else to cook it. I want to cook the soup the exact way I would cook soup for him and my kids. I believe in natural products or organic. And I said, listen, it has to be best dressed. I go to the farmer's market, I pick up pumpkin, bananas, and all the other things from the various supermarkets. And that's how we started it.
Something that you shared earlier, but you just said too, Robert, that reminded me, the notion that, the good lady I used to work with from East End, she reminded us, by their fruits ye shall know them. And as you talked about, you don't have to get up in pomp and circumstance and stand in a ceremony for people to see your heart.
Right.
And when Robert was referencing, you making this soup, it's the same thing that you would put on the table. Our parents tell us, if you're going to give somebody something, you give them the best of what you have.
Right.
You're giving away something, you're donating something. It's not stuff that you're going to throw away. It's the best, right?
I can't help but butting. But I have to reiterate that again, because there were a few people. Well, there are people who contacted or through different means if they could help. And I said, you're going to only help if it's going to be the best. I don't want you to contribute just because you're going to just throw something you wouldn't want. You wouldn't necessarily give to your kids or any family member of yours. So if you're going to buy the same things, I don't want cash. Raul and I, it's a sacrifice. But we saw the need in the community. And I said, you know what? Giving is not always about because you have so much. So it's much easier to give when you have a lot for some people. And I really wanted to set an example. If you're going to give, you are going to truly give. It's not just a thought.
It's love, though.
Right. Yeah, and it goes back to what we said earlier, is that when Kathy embarked on this, I thought it was a mammoth logistical task, because you had to think, okay, but the government was really good. When we contacted curfew time, they literally gave us approval within hours, right?
Yeah,
of all the families that were involved. They saw the need, and they were really good with us. But when we made a commitment, we said we were going to do this, and literally down to the salt that's used in the house is what Kathy uses, right? So when we do give, it has to be given. And as Kathy said, we don't have to wait to be billionaires or whatever, right? Because sometimes it's much easier when you're a billionaire to give, but when you're not a billionaire, then you have to actually do it where there's a sacrifice, right? And during this time, most people say, okay, look, I don't know how the economy is going to operate, but you have to make a sacrifice. And when we did it, it was done in that intention. And I my hat's off to Kathy for even thinking about it. To be honest, I was fine with just, okay, we contribute, we do this, we buy gift cards here. It was okay. Kathy said, no, we have to do more. And what we did was then we said, let's also get our kids involved. So our kids, Daniel and Hallie, and other friends, so Marcia Milgate and Alan Milgate's kids,
they've been amazing.
They were absolutely amazing. They've all gone back to school now, so they're most at universities, and Daniel has gone back as well. Hallie is still here, but they became so involved that they actually met the kids and knew them by their names, right? And they knew their names. They knew exactly what type of snack they liked on what particular day. They actually got to know the people that them. And when we go now, they go, oh, I met Daniel. Make sure Daniel comes back in December to look for us, right? Or Drew, or Trey, or Charlie, or Hallie. So they knew the kids. When we go and deliver now, we'll drive, but Hallie gets out, and she actually knows. She knows. This is how much the kids here. This is how much soups go. This is what the sandwiches go. This is where the pizza goes. And then what has happened, I'm doing is that because of that, we then got Palm Heights involved in Tilly's. So Palm Heights and Tilly's were absolutely amazing. They met us. We went there for lunch, and we happened to have met the manager. He said, look, what do you guys? So we just started chatting, and he said, okay, we'll donate pizzas, 25 pizzas a week. Just tell us when you want it. And so we give the kids pizzas on a Thursday. But then as a result of that, and the kids becoming so emotionally involved with it, they then told Kathy and said, we have to do a bit more for these kids, because what do they do during the summer? They may not be in a house with air conditioning. They don't have nothing to. It's a desperate situation for some of them, and then also when they're going back to school, they may not have school supplies. So Hallie I got in touch and said, can you give me a list of all the supplies that you need, to one of the little girls, and then it mushroomed from that. So what has happened, Kathy and the rest of her friends, so Marcia Milgate, Tammy Maines, Elizabeth,
Chambers, Hammer.
And Army Hammer, right? So we've gone out on the weekend and we bought 200 backpacks with school supplies that we're going to distribute to kids. So we've gotten names from obviously the primary school. We've gotten names from Big Brother, Big Sister, from Feed Our Future, because Stacey as well, Stacey Vandervelde, she's done a fantastic job, right? But Stacey is involved. She came and helped us one day, and she's very encouraging in terms of what we're doing, because we're doing it's the same thing, but it complements, right?
She does.
And then the kids have so when they, because of that, we've come. But Kathy will explain more in terms of what she's giving to the kids, because that's what we wanted to come and talk to you, because that's the next phase of what we're going to be doing.
And that's the thing, as I appreciative that you would share that. I'm hopeful as a country, and Raul, because of all the people with the diplomacy, as Kathy said, logistically, that's your forte. You make things happen, right? This whole thing, right, and I say that deliberately because I don't want us to make this be the new norm. It's abnormal. There's nothing normal about this thing. Let us look at what it has uncovered so that we can now peel it back and address it. We've got people in our society that were working but barely surviving, right? We know the wealthy, fairly affluent. We know the ones that were struggling financially and otherwise. But there's so many more that just barely, right? Many hands do make light work if we work in hand and heart together. So I Raul was complimentary and sincere, but I think he would agree. He's just scratching the surface when a woman like you with was it the Provost or the one that heart? It's inspiring. And your daughter, man. Hey, you got to be a proud father, man.
I am, because but Hallie also. So when Kathy said that she was going to do, Hallie went ahead and created a flyer for it.
Yeah.
She's obviously enhanced it now, right? So it's much more, it's much better. So, but we have to also thank the people that came on board. So Marcia Milgate was like, she was unbelievable. So, Kathy can explain how she got involved, which is actually a great story as well.
So Marcia Milgate, her son is Drew Milgate, who is friends with my son. We met Marcia through, how parents meet each other through their kids.
Online?
No, but I kind of have an idea of the people that, throughout my time in Cayman, living in Cayman, and that I've met over the years, that I know we share the same similarities in, the way we think of others. And I had the pleasure of going on vacation with her and just getting to know her as a person a couple of years ago. And so when this came about, the first person I said to Raul, put Marcia Milgate name down. And I said, I haven't asked her though, but just put her name down. And Raul went ahead and emailed Marcia Milgate. And then I called her and I said, Marcia, by the way, I'm doing a soup kitchen and I actually volunteer. I hope you're not mad. And she goes, thank you. And I mean, it's just amazing. And I mean, there's so many people who have helped volunteers, but Marcia, she stands out. She owns Pilates Studio. She and her husband, they've been amazing. Because we started this, I don't want to take anything from anyone unless you're going to give me the very best, what you give your kids. And she came in, and the first day I bought all the snacks, all the fancy snacks, all the name brand snacks. And the following week, before I got a chance, Marcia went out and she started shopping, and she continued. And for the kids, and then she said, you know what? We purchased Subway sandwiches and we hand that out to the kids. And she said, you know what? I'll do the mac and cheese and nuggets. And we do a package for the kids. We put juices in there, chips, just the things that kids like. And so we'll now give the Subway sandwiches to the adults along with rolls. And she has been nothing. I mean, she's an angel. I told her that, even though she said, you're the one. I said, no, but, just people like that in our community that people don't hear about and people don't know the good deeds that they do. And I just want to highlight that. And Miss Elaine Rivers, Chantel Rivers from the United Church, they have been amazing. They're every morning at 7 o'clock. I can count on Miss Elaine and her daughter, and they're peeling the carrots, they're peeling the potatoes, and she'll call me because they have a commercial kitchen at the church hall. So actually, when I called her first, I said, Miss Elaine, do you think the church would loan us the kitchen, because we need to do something. And she wasn't surprised, because she says, you know, a few people have said it to me, where did this? And she said, you all don't know anything about Kathy and Raul. What they do, they don't like people to know, but this is the one time that I said this is a different circumstance, and people need to know, because if they don't know that, they're somewhere in West Bay, because everybody else, Art does a great job, and all the other Meals on Wheels, but there was nothing in West Bay, and that's why I said to Raul, we need to do something.
Something that I'll ask it through you, Raul, and Kathy has shared. It talks about credibility in a sense, and we can speak to the districts that we know, so we live amongst communities. People will subscribe this and get involved with something if there's a sense of legitimacy to it. And it's not about being proud. It's not just even about having pride, but this is what touched me. You were willing to do this thing to the highest quality, but you were willing to sort of put your name to it, so that, in my mind, it allowed people to subscribe to it, because, we know what that is, and it's not about show, it's not about pomp, it's not about promotion. It's about, hey, you know, you're going to have something and you can rely on it. You know that you don't have to worry about it because it's of the same caliber. And I thought that was amazing, especially with people like you with the humility. You're not looking for anything other than, how can I be of value? How can I extend my, And
we wanted to create an awareness of it, right?
Yes.
So the other thing is, when we did it, we decided, like, against advice from others, that we should take names. I was like, why would you take a name from someone? Because, well, they could be double dipping. I said, there's no one on earth, right, that would take a meal and benefit from it financially, right? They ask for that, and they come and get a meal because they actually need it. And so we don't care. We don't take any names. I deliver personally, on an average, like 60 soups every Mondays and Thursdays, okay? So I put it in my car. I block out from like 12:30 to 2:30, no meetings, and I've done it for 12 weeks. So I make sure I am available to take the meals, and I don't. So people are saying, but they could be I can't.
Doesn't matter.
I can't. It does not matter, right? It doesn't matter, and the thing is, it doesn't matter. But I also have to say that Kathy is so passionate about this, right? That it has transformed even the way the kids look at stuff, right?
That's
and
it.
we have had our friends who said, can we help in any way? Can we have our kids go and see how blessed they are, right? But then the other people that got involved as well, Tammy Mains and Elizabeth Chambers, we went out to a social gathering, right? And we were introduced to them, and they're like, and Kathy told them, we do this, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, fantastic, right? Let's get involved. So they've actually been coming every week and delivering as well too.
And just to point out, they obviously, there's some of the people who come here like 3-4 months of the year, whatever the case is. And, it was a rude awakening for them. The first day they went out with Raul, they came back and they had tears in their eyes, because they always thought that Cayman was just 7 Mile, the Ritz-Carlton, or Palm Heights, or wherever. And seeing that have brought so much awareness to them going out talking with the kids, they're now like, there must be something else we can do. And I said, that's the whole idea. I would drive around. Daniel, our son, before he went off at university, he would tutor kids at the after-school program at the John Gray Memorial Church. So whenever we go away shopping during the summer, he's like, Mom, I like going to Walmart, okay? I'm a Walmart girl. And I would go in there, and he would have his own trolley, both him and Hallie. And I was like, where are you going with those things? He goes, for the after-school program kids. Mom, you have to meet them. And I love kids. Everybody that knows me well, that know my passion, I love kids. I want to see kids do their best. And so talking about volunteering. So on Monday, because Daniel went away, Drew Millgate, and some of the other kids that drive around and deliver meals, Elizabeth came, and I said, I can't go today because there were so many walk-ins we had, and I have 2 ladies in the kitchen that help me. I said, Hallie knows where to go, and she said, I will drive. And they literally went out. They went to Apple Blossom, and it was a pleasure. And I was like, wow, you know?
She actually, Elizabeth, even brought her kids, who were 5 and 3, to it. But you see, also me, Dwayne, I've lived my entire life in West Bay as well, right? And after driving, of course, from Northwest Point as well, right? So driving around, it actually was. I actually felt that I didn't know, right? West Bay, because there was another Daniel, actually Daniel Smith, who lives in Papagallo, and he said, I drive by this road every day, and I didn't know that Apple Blossom existed, right? Yeah. So I think we have to think more holistically, right? Where we have to think of how do we empower these kids and give them the opportunity to be able to be their best, right? And sometimes it's not by a handout, right? But it's actually by literally lifting them up and making them feel proud of who they are.
It's extending the love and the kindness.
That's right.
And that's something that you've done. And I think, I want to say this because I don't want anybody to be offended by it. But for too long, as you shared, we've allowed a particular narrative to be painted. And by so doing, we've ignored the blisters and the very obvious things. Yeah. And so there's some of us that work extremely hard. Right. And at the end of the month, we've paid our bills, but there's no money to socialize. We're glad that we can pay our bills, but our children can't engage in other things.
Exactly.
But then there's some of us that don't even have that much. And so there is a struggle in what is presumably statistically an affluent society. Great numbers in terms of per capita and GDP and all these things. But then what is, lurking behind the scenes, and then the pace of development, just the road names that have changed. Oh, well, that road was called this before, now it's called this. You don't know. Right. Not an indictment on any one person, but is it indicative of a society that is moving so fast that we no longer have caught, a chance to catch up?
Well, I think economically, right, we've done a fantastic job. And I think what we sometimes need to do is just ensure that socially we develop as well, right? And but sometimes I think we as Caymanians, and I use the word Caymanians as anyone that has come to these shores with you, with the right heart, with the right feeling, the empathy, the care for Cayman, right? Because we are, we're from various countries. But the fact is, if someone really is good for Cayman, we need to acknowledge that. And I think the more that we do, right, to help each other, right, and be examples to others, then we'll grow as a nation. I think that but when you meet some of these kids, right, they're so confident, right? They come and they actually, it's ironic. Like there's a few homes that I deliver to, and the mom always comes and said, my daughter was just wanting to find out, she's 3 years old or 4 years old. I wonder what time the man is going to come today. And I was like 20 minutes late, so I apologized profusely. But it's actually such a heartwarming thing, and all they really need to know that somebody is actually seeing them as a human being and not as a number or a statistic, right? And it's important for us to do that. But none of this would have happened, right? Had it not been for Kathy having the courage, okay? Because lots of people have ideas, right? But to actually implement an idea and to come up with a concept and say, I am actually going to do this, and not knowing all the circumstances. There were a million different reasons why Kathy didn't have to do this. I can only travel twice a week. I can only travel this time of the day. I have to wear a mask. I have to do this. I have to do that. But she didn't worry about that. She said, there's one reason, and the only reason is to help. Yeah, and that was what actually created it. So
could I invite you for a few minutes after the break? Maybe share some more. Tell us some of the things. We'll continue our discussion, and it may encourage and inspire the people to equally have that same courageous spirit. Something needs to be done. If not me, who? If not now, when? Yeah. And as you've set that example, maybe others would be willing to likewise take up the mantle and do. Because this is a great place, and I subscribe to what you share. If this is where our bread is buttered, or where we butter our bread,
that's right.
Then we need to contribute. And
100%.
I love this place, man. But anyway, when I come back, let me collect my thoughts and try to tear some eyes. But stay tuned for Talk Today.
Thank you.
Hey, hon, what you doing?
Putting things away in the shed since it's hurricane season. Preparing for the better.
Don't you mean preparing for the worst?
No, for the better. Since we have Britcay Insurance, we're fully covered against hurricanes. Plus, they have response teams ready to help us file a claim faster. If I were preparing for the worst, I'd watch football all day.
Still don't get it.
Isn't there a match on?
Oh, really?
Let Brit K prepare you for the better this hurricane season. Call 949-8699 or visit britk.ky.
Here is a special public service announcement and reminder from the Justice of the Peace Association. JP services for the public in the Government Administration Building are provided on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to noon in a designated space adjacent to the reception area in GAB. Please look for the designated signage and directions, and also remember to have all documents and identification needed for your transactions. Every precautionary measure has been taken to ensure the public's safety, and members of the public should adhere to the rules and regulations. Please be aware of the following. The kiosk has been fitted with a plexiglass partition. Hand sanitizer will be available. No one can enter the GAB without a mask. Sanitization of the area will be carried out between clients. You must practice social distancing while waiting in line for service. The Justice of the Peace Association, serving the community with humility and integrity.
Register now for the 3rd Annual Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum, taking place online on Friday, August 14th. This year's theme, Rebuilding a Better Cayman, will tackle the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the local and regional economy and how the private and public sectors can work together to create a more durable and more sustainable future. Don't miss out. Visit caymanchamber.ky to register for a full day or half day today. Corporate ticket bundles available. In partnership with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. The forum is made possible thanks to sponsors CUC, DART, Kensington Management Group, Cayman Enterprise City, and Hurley's Media.
You come out this Friday night to South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers to celebrate the 3rd Annual Cayman Night. There will be live entertainment by Rexy Watler and the Impulse Band, Lamy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. Music starts at 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Come out and enjoy some good old soca, merengue, calypso, and country music. It's the 3rd Annual Cayman Night at South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers, happening Friday, August 14, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. with live entertainment with Rexy Watler and the Impulse Band, Lamy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. So don't miss this annual event. Admission is by small donation at the gate. Let's celebrate the true Caymanian way. See you all there this Friday, August 14, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m., taking place at the South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers, a true Caymanian experience.
Your Radio Cayman 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit www.caymannational.com for up-to-date information for all your financial needs and follow us on social media.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thank you so much. And I'm glad that we have an opportunity. Raul Nicholas Suko, and without hesitation, he'll agree with me. His wonderful wife and family, the head of Miss Kathy. Thank you for joining us, because I think it's important for us in Cayman, and by that I mean Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, in the Cayman Islands, for us to quickly be reminded that we have good people, some of whom go back generation after generation, probably not quite sure how far back we go. Some fairly recent to our shores, but we all share a genuine love for this country, Raul, a love that wants it to be the very best place, socially, economically, politically, and all. But it means that we've got to work together. Many hands make light work if we're working collectively. Yeah. And where we fall politically, economically, that's one thing. Where we are socially, in terms of building a strong community that's safe, that's secure, that's stable. Maybe this... I'm not going to even put a word to it, because this ordeal, this thing that we're facing, if we can see some good things coming of it, where we come together and we recognize there's a need, it may be nothing more than, oh, my child needs a little help with reading. Maybe I need a little help with, you're a good carpenter, plumber. Yeah. How do you help me with? so that we help each other go back to that thing that has strengthened societies throughout the ages, where you're your brother's keeper. No longer just, you know what, I got my 2nd billion and my 4th billion, and hey, that's great, thank you. You know, but can you talk to me like a person?
Yeah. I mean, I think these types of struggles that the world, and in the past, it was, you know, hurricane came and went through it, and we, you know, it was the great equalizer in Ivan, right? So everyone was, you know, didn't have electricity, didn't have water. It actually perhaps changed a lot of people's view in terms of how they see each other. But I think the pandemic is at a scale that no one can comprehend or understand. But if it changes an individual or a collection of individuals in terms of how they view people, and I will tell you from my personal experience, it's, you know, it sometimes you like, oh, should I worry about tomorrow, right? Or should I worry, just live? And what my daughter Hallie says, Dad, you need to live in the moment, right? And I remember this was on June 11th. We went to dinner. It was the first night, it was our anniversary actually, and the kids were here. And it was the first time that we actually had dinner out at a restaurant, because I think the Wednesday was when we were allowed to go to a restaurant, but it was only families could have dinner. And they, you know, like I was a bit concerned about something, and Hallie was like, Dad, you know, like, don't get off your phone, basically. Don't worry about that. Live in the moment. And, you know, sometimes I lapse and I don't think about that, but when a child who's 17 years old can actually tell you that.
She's 70 now?
She's 17.
She's 17.
But March 20th, she was 17. And it was so many things that has changed, right? So Daniel, when he was at university, his girlfriend was studying abroad in Milan, right? So there was all these plans that he was going to go and spend a week in Europe and blah, blah, blah. And then she called, and then he said, you know, Dad, I've convinced her that based on the graphs that I'm seeing, this is going to become a massive pandemic in Milan. So I've convinced her to come back. She says, okay, well, she needs to be quarantined for 19 days in Indiana. So let's meet in Miami on March 20th for Hallie's birthday. We'll have a good celebration. We bought the ticket, booked the hotels, and then we heard, we heard the...
Happened to you too?
Oh, yeah. We heard, the airport is shutting down March 22nd. So she said, Dad, really, you know what? I'm just going to spend, this is Daniel, I'm just going to go to my girlfriend's parents' place, and we'll spend the time on the farm. We're in rural Indiana. And in 3 weeks' time, I'll be home.
Yeah.
8 weeks after he arrives back home, right? And but you know, when your kids constantly tell, and I tell you like that, and it's because of Kathy's candid nature in terms of how she deals with kids and how she speaks to them about things. And but to be able to, for them to tell you that, right? No matter how many books I've read millions, hundreds of books, hundreds of pages of stuff, and when your daughter tells you that, just live in the moment. And what Kathy said today, she was saying that actually, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, because we're talking about, you know, today announced that Britain's largest recession in that it's ever seen. Yeah. Russia said they have a vaccine, and Kathy on the drive here said, we don't know what's going to happen. You know?
This is, see, you and I can talk from that perspective. Right. We can analyze the economics. We can look at potential of some of the political stuff. And I don't know if it's a man thing, if it's a father thing that you start to worry about. No matter how much money you got in the bank, you got a mortgage to pay, children's school fees. The fathers that I know, they're no different from me from the perspective of always worried about something. Right. But then our daughters and our wives, you have this thing. It's not just the innate nurturing. It's this thing. You know, thankfully my mother has it. And
it's faith. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Of course. I mean, it's faith. I mean, if you think about that, you know,
I thought I had faith.
Yeah, no. You don't have the faith they have.
You know, I think for me personally, over the years, it's faith, and it's not just saying faith. It's like it's my belief in God, and I don't apologize to anyone for that. I try not to be judgmental. I'm not pious, and I have very good friends that are pastors, and I'll tell them, look, I have nothing. I mean, I was brought up into the United Church of Jamaica in the parish I'm from, and I said, you know, at one point my family ran that church completely, and I have nothing against church, but to me, people need to judge you to me, Christ live within you. It's not you going to church and doing this, saying that. You know, judge me by my actions, not by
their
my
fruits ye shall know them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, a big thing is I've always relied on my faith in God. And it's not always easy. Because there are times
when I'm a skeptic.
Yes, because he is.
Right.
And there is times when he'll say, and I'll say, you know, Raul, that's really your prerogative. Don't get me involved in that, because nothing or no one is going to change my faith in God.
You know, and the thing is, right, this happened, Dwayne, and I always say that when you do things the right way, good things happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Good follows good, mama says.
Right. Yeah, that's even a better way of putting it, actually. That's a much better. I'll put that in my quotes.
Good follows good, boo.
Right. And I love that. So, you know, how, like, Palm Heights got involved, right? It's just like a series of things, right? We literally went there for lunch because I like Tilly's, and Daniel likes it, and Hallie likes it, and Kathy likes it. And we met the managers, we met the chef, and they were like, oh, listen, he said, this is no problem. Just tell me what you need. Then we met some other senior people there, and they were like, okay. And then you met others, right? And while we were there, and it has blossomed into something that has not only transformed maybe the lives of the kids, right? Forget about those, but the people that have been touched by this. Okay, this isn't going to just go away. Those kids, when Daniel and Drew and Hallie and Trey and Charlie, right? When what they plan to do in Christmas is actually have something special for those kids as well, because they know the kids, you know, they know them by their name.
And the thing is,
and the other one, so Stacey's son Jake, who is, you know, Jake is 13, right?
Yeah.
Jake went out, right, and he was blown away by it. He got up early and like, you know, text me what's happening. I'm ready to go, right? And all the kids that have seen it, right, now have an appreciation of how blessed they are, right? And how they need the help, because the next generation is actually the important ones. They have to make sure that they protect what's happening as well, because those kids that are there, I guarantee, if given any degree of help or assistance, those kids would be fantastic. And when you go there and you see the homes and stuff like with some of these people, it's like, I am thinking like the next time that there's a government housing scheme being developed, we need to actually bring sociologists and people that you know to think about, like, you're building a home, right, but you need to also build a community, right? Because when you do that, those kids are going to have a sense of empowerment and a sense of ownership that will transcend anything that you can give them physically in front of them.
No, I agree with Raul 100%. It breaks my heart because there's a couple of times that Daniel and Hallie come back and says, you know, the moms, the grandmothers, they want to meet you because they said, who made this soup? He says, my mommy. And so I've gone out over the last couple of weeks, and I would go in the homes, and they're the nicest people ever, and they're just so thankful. And I said, you know, Raul, oftentimes you hear people, or even Caymanians, bashing Caymanians, and I said, you know why? Because they were fortunate enough to, at that time, they had a better opportunity. But a lot of these kids, as Raul said, they just need somebody to uplift them, just to guide them.
Love and nurture.
Yeah, and show them in the right way and say, you know what?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a lawyer, doctor, accountant, but you can be somebody, whatever it is you're great at. And I said, you know, I think the whole thing, and my, you know, Daniel, he's a philosopher. He's like, Mom, what you've done, and you've been doing things on a smaller scale. People don't know this, but we know this. This is nothing new for you. It's just the pandemic have highlighted that you needed to do this. And I know I'd love to do this forever, but of course, Raul and I run a company, Catless, and I have to work.
Somebody got to pay the bills, right?
Yes, and somebody have to pay the bills because, you know, we've been very adamant that we wanted to do this the proper way, and we will make the sacrifice to run it the way we want it. I would love to do it forever, and maybe one day I will be able to do it, but for now we just did.
So after the break, wrap it for us and remind us, maybe preview what you have, just share some other things. and let us know. All right?
Yep.
All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
While the primary source of alcohol for underage drinkers is people they know, research shows that 7 to 9% of those who report alcohol use in the Cayman Islands purchase alcohol directly from retailers. Tips Off Premise helps retailers focus on verifying the legal drinking age when selling alcohol. Since the program was introduced here in the Cayman Islands back in 2005, we have trained over 400 persons and partnered with over 10 retailers. Contact us on 949-9000 to have your staff trained today. This message is brought to you by Radio Cayman and the National Drug Council.
Register now for the 3rd Annual Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum, taking place online on Friday, August 14th. This year's theme, Rebuilding a Better Cayman, will tackle the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the local and regional economy and how the private and public sectors can work together to create a more durable and more sustainable future. Don't miss out. Visit caymanchamber.ky to register for a full day or half day today. Corporate ticket bundles available. In partnership with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. The forum is made possible thanks to sponsors CUC, DART, Kensington Management Group, Cayman Enterprise City, and Hurley's Media.
I'm Acting Superintendent Brady Banks of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. Speeding, drunk driving, and distracted driving are all extremely dangerous behaviors that can cause accidents and loss of lives that affect not only those involved, but their families and friends alike. We wish to remind all motorists, practice safe driving habits every time you get behind the wheel. Drive within the speed limit and don't drive if you've been drinking. Give 100% of your attention to the road when driving. Equally important to note, we are now entering into our rainy season. Historically, we tend to see increased road collisions due to weather conditions, often resulting in poor visibility and wet road conditions. Remember, extra attention is required if you're driving, as well as increased vigilance of other road users. Drive safely, Cayman Island.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Rahul and Kathy, both, not just for coming and sharing. Hopefully, you will inspire and encourage others across all of our districts in our respective communities. Everybody can do something. You know, it may be pick up the phone and call somebody. It may be physically put your hands, and your heart together to work. And now, of all the things to complain about, oh, those politicians, oh, that business, probably legitimate, but at the end of the day, we can look at the good and we can make it better. We can look at the bad and say, it shouldn't be that way. So,
but sometimes I think we need to look at the good.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
We need to forget there will always be things that we can complain about, and people that we can complain about. But we have to acknowledge that Cayman does have some really benevolent persons and people that are philanthropic, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that are philanthropic, we need to accept them that there are other places that would love to have these people, right?
Yeah,
and instead of constantly like complaining, right, we need to sometimes look at ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, what have I actually done, right? What have I actually done to help? And if you can't answer that question honestly and forthrightly to yourself, then perhaps you shouldn't complain. Perhaps you should acknowledge that others are doing more. And like there's one thing that I know I still live in the moment, but there's also the other thing is to be open and honest, right? And the people that provide the best honesty are the people that love you.
Yeah.
Right?
So that won't self be true.
Right. And that, like when Kathy and I, when she said it, like, really, Kathy? And we got like, are you really going to do this? It's the logistical nightmare. How you can get everybody involved? And she's like, just don't ask any questions. Just get it done. And we literally...
Sorry, you're not married? You don't notice what a website?
Yeah, but no, but
talk to you.
The thing is, it was even more adamant than I normally. Yeah. So I knew that this was something that she felt overly passionate about. And when she said she wished that she could do more, she genuinely wants to do more. All and right. I think that if the opportunity arises, Kathy will just be set up philanthropic organizations and just run those, because that's really what she's passionate about. Wow. She never complains about having to do it, and it's not a day where I deliver for like maybe 3 hours, but Kathy's day to prepare the soup kitchen start on Saturday. We go and pick up the containers. We go and buy the containers, the covers, and we buy them in like thousands, right? So you don't buy like 10, you buy thousands of these things, and then the day before she shops, and the day of she sometimes gets up really early and goes to shop as well. So not only does she have a complete day on the Mondays and Thursdays, but there are other days that she has to get involved as well. So this is truly a labor of love, right? And it shows, right? I mean, anyone that eats the soup, right? Anyone, absolutely anyone. You go to the best restaurants in Cayman, when the managers eat it, they will call and text me like, this is the best soup ever. Like, please do it, like send it whenever. So every day we send it to some of the guys that don't like the guys at Tillis and Palmites. We send it to them, and they absolutely love it, because it is truly a labor of love.
All right. So it's Kathy with that, and thanks for taking time not only to share with us but for what you've done and continue to do, and as you lead and inspire. Give us if you wish, a preview of what's to come, if you can. As we close it out.
So tomorrow will be 12 weeks since we started. As I've expressed to you before, unfortunately, reality kicking. I need to go back to work. I'd love to continue this indefinitely. But even though we're ending the community kitchen, because we no longer call it a soup kitchen, because it's a community kitchen, we plan to come back. It might not be like the other charities, because it's a different thing. And that was the whole idea behind it. I wanted to be intimately involved. I wanted to cook the soup myself. Yes, I have 2 people that help me to prep and clean up, but I didn't want to just give people or kids just any old thing, a broth. It's a proper meal. It's a sandwich that we purchase every week from Subway. Tillis, they're so kind. They donate pizzas, the treats. So tomorrow, I just didn't want to leave the kids hanging. So I suggested to my other friend, Marcia Milgate, we share the similar passion about kids and wanting kids to have similar opportunities like our kids that we've been blessed to have, or they've been blessed to have. So I said, Hallie suggested, and Daniel and Drew, how about school supplies? This was before they went back to college, Drew and Daniel. And I said, yeah. I said, but let's see what we can do. And I told Raul, I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to spend some more money. I know.
Oh.
I said, I know you're inside. We just said, I mean, but I said, like I tried to butter him up. I said, but Raul, giving is a true sacrifice. And I know this is pushing you a little bit further than you committed to. But he just nodded. And I was like, okay, Saturday, I said to Marcia, let's go shopping, because she runs Pilates Studios at Governor Square. I said, are you available Saturday? She said, yeah. She said, okay. There are 2 ladies, Elizabeth Chambers. When they came on, they offered, can we help? And I told them, I said, if you're not going to help by buying the organic things that I use or contributing, that I don't want it. Straight up. And that was one of the reasons why I said, I'm not going to go out there begging. I'm going to give from what I have and give the very best. And I said, no, I don't need you guys to contribute. No, but I will need you to contribute in another couple weeks. I didn't tell them what. So I never said to them, and I kind of felt that I went home and I said, well, I think I kind of shocked the poor people them. So I called them up. Of course, they had a soup kitchen, and I said,
I think you missed the important point.
Yeah.
What they said is how we can help.
How we
what
can
Kathy
help.
told them, I don't want you to help. I want you to come out and see what we do.
do.
To see whether or not it's something that you... Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So I invited them, and then they volunteer their time, dishing up the soup, going to deliver. So then, they at the end of the day, each week they come, they would say, how can we help financially? I said, don't worry about it. I'll tell you. I have this all covered. So a week ago, I said to them, remember when you guys offered to help? I do need help now. And I said, we're going to go shopping for after school.
For school.
For school supplies for kids. And they were like, okay, no problem. We'll come along. Marcia, Millgate. We'll meet up. And so we went to Cossulas. We got in there. I said, I need 200 backpacks. I need school supplies. And I have a list because Miss Elaine, Hallie had got me a list from one child. Miss Elaine, Chantel gave me the list from West Bay Primary. I said, I'm doing West Bay Primary because that's the district we live in, and that's the district I'm trying to make a difference in. And, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. So went to Cossulas, and they gave us the bill, and I said, okay, ladies. I was presumptuous. I told her, I said, I felt bad afterwards. I said, okay, we're going to split this in 4. And I won't say what the bill was. So we split.
So Kathy paid her portion.
I paid
Marcia,
Tammy and Elizabeth, and I goes, thank you, ladies. Afterwards, but they were perfectly fine, and
good hearts, man.
They were perfectly fine, and that was just it's so kind of them, and they went back to do whatever, socialize, and we still needed more stuff. So Marcia and I left, and I said, Marcia, are you sure? She says, well, I told my husband it's our anniversary. It was their anniversary on Saturday. I don't want a gift. Gift. And that touched my heart. I had to tell Raul because I don't know very many people like her. I said, Marcia, I said, you know what? Raul, don't say the credit card bill. So I know I can push the button, right? And we went to office supplies.
Yeah. Ms. Kathy, want to invite you to come back at some point. And thanks to you and to your family, but to your extended friends and for the wider community.
But I want to tell you something that actually is critical, right? Is that whenever we go and deliver to these people, you know what they always say? Thank you and God bless you. Yeah. And it's heartwarming, right? When you see some people you see you walk in there, thank you and God bless you. That's all they say. And I said thank you.
They don't need to say more, man.
They don't need to say any more than that.
All right.
Right?
Well, thanks.
Right. Thank you so much.
Quickly, so tomorrow, someone else that I can't say the person's name. They heard everything, so they reached out. They reached out to me, and they said, "Here is $2,000. I need you to. How many backpacks you have?" I said, "I have 200, and they all have school supplies." He says, "Here's $2,000. Please go and buy some more. Don't call my name." Right. And so tomorrow we'll have 300 backpacks with school supplies from grade 1 to grade 6. We're asking the parents to come out with the kids between 11:30 and 2 tomorrow, and they can pick those up.
In the United Church Hall?
United Church Hall.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll remind that as well, but tomorrow.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No, it was an honor, and thanks to. We'll talk about it after, but we'll chat again, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Miss Susan. I'm gonna pause now. When we come back, I'll take my licks. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only two species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solids. The University College of the Cayman Islands announces its 2020 commencement speaker is Dr. Delroy Jefferson, Medical Director of the Health Services. This fall, Jefferson will talk about the importance of education to those graduating from the University College of the Cayman Islands. UCCI's commencement is set for November 5th. In international news, at least 800 people died around the world because of coronavirus-related misinformation on social media in the first 3 months of this year, researchers say. With about 5,800 people admitted to hospital, many died from drinking methanol or alcohol-based cleaning products. They wrongly believed the products to be a cure for the virus. Figures showed the UK economy have suffered its biggest slump on record. The economy shrank 20.4% between April and June compared with the first 3 months of the year. The 2 consecutive quarters of decline caused by the COVID-19 lockdown pushed the UK officially into recession. Facebook has updated its rules to tackle posts containing depictions of blackface and common anti-Semitic stereotypes. Its community standards now explicitly state such content should be removed if used to target or mock people. The company said it had consulted more than 60 outside experts before making the move. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solids.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
I'm Acting Superintendent Brady Banks of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. Speeding, drunk driving, and distracted driving are all extremely dangerous behaviors that can cause accidents and loss of lives that affect not only those involved, but their families and friends alike. We wish to remind all motorists, practice safe driving habits every time you get behind the wheel. Drive within the speed limit and don't drive if you've been drinking. Give 100% of your attention to the road when driving. Equally important to note, we are now entering into our rainy season. Historically, we tend to see increased road collisions due to weather conditions, often resulting in poor visibility and wet road conditions. Remember, extra attention is required if you're driving, as well as increased vigilance of other road users. Drive safely, Cayman Island.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, Mike. Thank you for joining us, and publicly may I say thanks to both Miss Julie and Miss Tammy for allowing us to take what is the regular government slot, but more important to James Jumbo Miles for sitting patient in the wings on a Wednesday.
It was a good story, man. You know what I mean? People need to hear that.
But that's the thing, right? When Rahul, way back when, reached out to me to share what was transpiring, and those of us who know his wife, quiet, unassuming lady, who will, like so many of, hope people don't misunderstand when I use the word church ladies, right? They don't do, like Miss Lane and Chantel, you know them, they don't do seek anything for it.
Yeah, their reward comes after their heart stop beating.
Yeah, they do that because it's who they are and what they do, and because they can, and they just go about it and it's done. This Bible talking about stepping on faith. That's their norm.
Yeah.
And when you realize that we have so much of this love in our community, I've said this to you often. I watch you with your youth. It's not the job that you have, because your job isn't supposed to be 24/7, 365.
No, but that's the nature of youth work.
I understand, but still, at some point in time, the community needs to recognize that if more of us draw alongside and help in whatever way, doesn't matter whether you can fund something on the right to full cost, that's great, but can you come and maybe help fill out paperwork, because the children need to travel and somebody need to make sure that all the paperwork is in place. Maybe you can come and stir the pot, because don't let it burn, whatever that is. Maybe it's the ice in the cake, whatever it is. Sometimes you just need people who are going to legitimately, lovingly, genuinely contribute. And this is a fantastic community where so much of that happens, but is there scope for more?
Oh yeah,
perhaps.
And I think one of the things of celebrating International Youth Day today is another great story. I left a bunch of about 45 young people having lunch at Tuka, because they did a International Youth Day cleanup with the Department of Children and Family Services, and our unit contribute to the logistics of it. They having a blast up there now. They clean the beach at Collier's, and then they clean the beach near Tuka, and then they will have a lunch at Tuka. And I want to thank the management and staff at Tuka for donating lunch or giving us lunch for that small army. He actually threw in a tour of the bird sanctuary as well.
Yeah.
So the parrot sanctuary is something that the young people also be enjoying today. Full of activities. This International Youth Day is not a day that the Youth Services Unit would regularly celebrate. This would normally be our downtime, and we would be taking our vacations around about now, because we would normally have just come off summer camps. But this year is quite different. The ministry has required us to be more strategic and monitoring what young people do. So we were monitoring summer camps this year instead of doing them. And it gave us room to come alongside DCFS and help them commemorate International Youth Day.
Thank you for sharing that, because for me and some of the circles in which I run, we too often as a community recognize that too many of us stand back in the periphery, or we're so busy doing that we don't get a chance to reflect in the moment and do the analysis. So as you shared, the Youth Services Unit now can monitor what is transpiring and think about it. We understood, thankfully, before it was too late, that after school and when parents got home in Cayman, like many jurisdictions, children weren't engaged sufficiently, or not enough children. But equally, in the summer, the 6 weeks, the 2 months, whatever length of time, when things were happening, but not enough to engage the children for long enough.
Right.
Maybe as we pull off the band-aids and reveal the scabs and what have you, we'll see a society where there's a lot that we've ignored, we've avoided, we've pretended didn't exist. How do we draw alongside to ensure that we've engaged? You take your small army of youth, the friendships that they're going to build, the opportunities for them to see and appreciate Cayman, but then to continue to contribute. The importance of that engagement and what it's going to mean for our society, it's immeasurable.
Well, it's good that you mentioned the word, because it's the key word for International Youth Day, engagement.
Engagement, yeah.
And I'm thankful for the young people that have come out and engaged in ways of promoting a cleaner society.
Mm-hmm.
There's scope for a lot of things. A lot of young people are on regional forums right now. My son is one of them who's filling in for me while I'm on the radio. Throughout the Commonwealth and throughout the Caribbean, young people are now blessed with the use of technology, and now they're taking part in webinars with great success stories being shared from around the region. A lot of our CARICOM youth ambassadors are all over the place today. Diana joined us in East End. John Michael joined us in East End. Jarell and Zoe is on Zoom meetings, separate Zoom webinars right now. Tavis and Chantel should be joining us on Youth Flex a little later on today, and we talk about International Youth Day. We got a few key announcements that the Youth Services Unit want to bring on board, so we'll share them on Youth Flex, so you can listen out 4 o'clock and you get to hear what cool stuff we plan on doing.
Two things though, I want our people, in particular our parents, to recognize. We heard it earlier, both Raul and Catherine said it, didn't just allude to it. Once you show love to our young people, you give them a chance to engage, you nurture them, but you show love, you get from them so much more. Sometimes we expect a little because we give a little. And then if you look at the Youth Flex, I share this with you often. Come September, when the school year starts, they'll come in and, like everybody, a little timid, a little shy. There's a microphone. As gregarious as they may be, as confident as they may be, but come January and then come May, wow, they have blossomed even more so. They own the space. That's in a very short period of time with a concerted effort. Just 1 hour for 1 day of the week.
Well, it looks that way.
No. that we see them on here, and we get to see their growth. But all of the planning and preparation and interaction, engagement, has transformed them in 1 school year. What if we did that year after year, day in and day out? What that's going to mean? And then they eventually get married and have children, and then in 2 and 3 generations, right?
We Youth Flex at the end of September will be 19 years old. And we've had people that have been through the program, over 120 young people. And some are married and have children now. Some are taking up their prominent places in society. We had one that was a deputy director at NAU. And he hosted the show for like a whole year. Matthew Kilton. That's his radio name, Kilton. But I'm very proud of each and every one of them. There's been a lot of young people that have been through the program. It has changed their lives dramatically. Even if they don't use broadcasting ever again, the way that they've connected to the community, the way that they have broadened their own network, they're pretty much set for life, and that's part of the programming that the Youth Services Unit was really key on trying to do.
Is that one of the challenges that, despite this being a very, very, very small society, I mean, put all our people into a football stadium and probably going to be room left for other fans.
Right.
Some of us have attended universities with more people
than our population.
Right? Some of us have worked for companies that we're just a fraction of their global workforce.
Right.
Not saying that to be disparaging, saying that to emphasize that such a small place physically, the geographical size and population count, that we should more easily be able to identify every single person. In fact, we do that in our national census, right? So if we can do that, if we have the resources, then why is it that we're not willing to engage everybody to make sure that as the individual, we're doing all we can? I will say that earlier. If you don't do it and you're not willing to do it, then don't point fingers and blame anybody else and complain.
No, but that's so much easier to do. And I think that's why people do it.
Oh, okay.
When people are not pressed to see how they want to leave their mark on the world, they just cruise through and worry about whatever is in their household. And when you're that selfish, you don't get the full benefit of community. You rob yourself of the full benefit of community when you don't engage. And I think what Raul and his wife is doing is great, not only for the West Bay community, but is a great example for others.
That's it.
Who are opulent and in different communities to engage their community, because the need is always there. Jesus said the poor will always be among us. Yeah. So that means we can't really get rid of poverty, but we can help that person.
And the need, maybe we come back as we talk about youth, International Youth Day. The need is there, and the need may be different. Here it may be a need financially. Here it may be a need with some other resource. It may be tutoring but there's always a need. And unfortunately, it's the wants that motivate us sometimes to get out of bed and go to work because I want this.
Right.
But are we willing to recognize the needs and how we, as a community, can respond to those needs?
Well, I tell you, right, me and the team from YSU got to spend the last quarter at NAU. We were redeployed there from April, and we were there until like the 2nd of July. And when you saw the hundreds of people, because they're jobless because of COVID, right? It makes you want to do as much as you can every single day.
Keeps you up at night, how you can figure out to do more. Well, respectfully, you notice how early I was trying hard to listen and follow Miss Susan's instructions, and I didn't do a good job. Again, I'm behind the break.
Watch it, you get pounded up on International Youth Day.
We're going to pause and take the final break. When we come back, tell us more about it. Give us a little more preview of the Youth Flex program if you want. And as we celebrate International Youth Day, James Miles joins us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Come out this Friday night to South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers to celebrate the 3rd annual Cayman Night. There will be live entertainment by Rexy Wattler and the Impulse Band, Lamy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. Music starts at 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Come out and enjoy some good old soca, merengue, calypso, and country music. It's a 3rd annual Cayman Night at South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers, happening Friday, August 14th, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. with live entertainment with Rexy Wattler and the Impulse Band, Lamy, Deja Blue, Kelvin Ebanks, and many more of Cayman's favorite entertainers. So don't miss this annual event. Admission is by small donation at the gate. Let's celebrate the true Caymanian way. See you all there. This Friday, August 14th, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Taking place at the South Coast Bar and Grill and Breakers, a true Caymanian experience.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again to James Jamoma as together with Youth Services Unit. I think we're seeing an investment, not just the financial investment. That's important. We need to have resources. You want to sit down and play dominoes, well, somebody had to acquire the dominoes. Well,
and the domino table.
And then you need a domino table.
And at least 4 J's.
And that. So there has to be an investment, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to have the commitment of a time. I mean, you're not playing one round. I mean, it's a 6-up. And if you lose, you got to get a chance to rematch, right? Yeah. So that bridge building, as I call it. And over time, you're strengthening your mind, your intellect, your reasoning. It helps you to sharpen in so many ways. That's an investment, right? But when we do that with our young people, as you and you, sirs, you have been, not just through the 20 plus years or so, well, I round off, of the radio show, the Radio Cayman's production facilities here. What are we doing for our people, man? It's going to translate into something really, really significant in terms of building them up to be more productive, contributing citizens.
On behalf of the team at Youth Services Unit, I want to say that we're thankful for the partners that we've created. Mm-hmm. Some of the strong partnerships that help us with all of our programming. We couldn't do it alone. We are a very small department, but a very dynamic one. We thrive on partnerships. We rely on resources outside of government, mm-hmm. resources within government departments. And we reach out to wherever it is to give young people a fighting chance to be the best they can ever be. So we're now called on to be a little bit more strategic rather than operational. And that means we just taking our programming to a whole different level. Mm-hmm. Our programming, while we might lose a lot of touch with young people, we now helping those who touch young people be better. And I think that is one of the things that over time we've earned the respect of mm-hmm. youth service providers. So I think they would take our advice greatly.
Yeah,
that's why I really want to take my hats off to DCFS for carrying the banner for International Youth Day for so many years. I know they've been doing it alone because we normally be out of sorts. Like now I would have probably been in Barbados with the cooking team. Because that's what trying for it at least. Right? But COVID had a different plan for us this year. Yeah. And this year we would have had a really strong team because Bradley and Joshua won the cook-off. And they probably are two top young people as well. I mean, they proved it in the contest. Mm-hmm. But God would have it that we're here and that we can join up with DCFS and helping them deliver programming on International Youth Day. I want to take this time to thank Pathfinders and Boys to Men's program, the Cayman Youth Ambassador Group. We had some young people from all over that cleanup this morning. There's Youth Week being celebrated at All Nations Pentecostal Church, and there was a youth panel discussion going on over there today. There's so much online platforms right now running. I want to thank all the young people in the Cayman Islands for participating. Today is about your engagement, and there's different ways to engage, and I thank you all for engaging in the ways that you did. Later on Youth Flex, you can call in and tell us a little bit about your International Youth Day experience. Whether you were on a webinar, some online chat, or you were part of the panel discussions or town hall meetings or the cleanup.
Mm-hmm. See, that's where I think it's important for us as a society to, not just do something, but do something in a way that builds the bridges, so that we, as you talk about partnerships, extend the connections, and our young people in particular say what we want about them, but they're not only very intelligent, they're observant, and they know when things are legit and genuine. And once we give them, the wherewithal, they don't need our approval, but if we can help them, they're going to make a difference.
Yeah, sometimes all they need is a chance.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the strengths of the Youth Services Unit. We try to seek out opportunities for young people to get these a chance at being their best.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what their dreams is, I mean, as long as it's productive in this nation building, we'll try to make sure that you get an opportunity to show your talent.
Mm-hmm.
You get an opportunity to grow and nurture your talent, to thrive, not just to survive.
But as we close out the discussion, I reflect on something that we were talking about earlier. You would think, because the society is physically smaller than many places, from a population perspective, whether we say it's too many or not enough, still a relatively small number. You would think it would be easier not to hide that whatever it is that we don't like would be quickly identified. Yet some of us can seem to escape into, some places and not have to worry about accountability or accepting responsibility or making any sort of contribution. And I've been wrestling with how to get us, without being guilted, I don't want anybody to feel guilted, how do we get to a point where we realize that if this is where we are and this is where we want to be, because I think, unless you're in prison, don't let anybody keep you where you don't want to be. Then there's so much more that we can do other than just writing a check, doing a cleanup now and again, and seeking publicity. Genuinely join alongside someone doing something that is going to have a profound, positive, impact. It should be. Is that too naive? I mean, am I being? I wonder.
It would be a perfect world, but not everybody. Sadly, not everybody cares enough.
But it's so easy to care, man.
It should be. It should be, but
But you say we're selfish. That's the problem.
Yeah, some people just they care for themselves, and everything is about me and me first. And
seek ye first the kingdom. Is that a problem? I mean,
and I think that's another avenue where we're slipping as a nation, and we're moving away from our godly values, and because of that, we're now starting to care less for our fellow man, which makes the conversations with Raul and them so refreshing, where they don't have to, but they choose to. And I've heard it from some of the thankful young people that I've worked with to say, like, I know Mr. Jam, you didn't have to, but you did so. But I tell them I had to, because it happened to me.
Yeah.
It people like Barney Bush that poured into me and he didn't have to. You understand? It's people like Steve McPhee that poured into me and he didn't have to.
Yeah, man.
It's not like we family. It's not like, this is my cousin I try and save or not. No. People poured into me, so I got poured into other people.
See that? Thank you. You shared that with us before, and I'm glad that you reminded us, because if we don't do that and we continue to try to fill from our vessel, then what comes after? We can't blame anybody.
Yeah.
And in our society, sometimes we fail to recognize that somebody is seeing what you're doing and not doing. Doesn't matter whether you think so or not. It's not just that you talk about what you do in the dark will come to light. It's the fact that that 13-year-old or even that 5-year-old, when you think they're not paying attention, when you don't think that they fully comprehend, and they may not, but they still see and know, and somehow it's going to be affected by this thing that you're doing or not doing. And so in time, decades later perhaps, it's going to come that, boy, thank you for doing that. Now you imagine, as you just referenced, they consciously pour into you, right? Helping you to make sure you get home safely after school or after the sporting event, or they take you aside and help you to build a skill or read or whatever. Wow, what are going to mean for our society? Now, we have people who are doing. Maybe more of us can do more. Maybe as we look at International Youth Day, maybe there's something else that we can. So as we close,
I think mentoring is something that really needs to be amplified in Cayman.
Yeah.
The Youth Services Unit is trying to work along with other partners to launch 4-H clubs in Cayman.
Yeah,
that's something that we'll talk a little bit about on Youth Flex. So tune in 4 o'clock.
I was going to ask you about it, but I decided when you said just then that. But could we publicly maybe invite a discussion? Yes. People can tune in today and hear more about the 4-H. But going forward, we won't steal your thunder. I'm excited. And after you said what you said, I said, I'm not going to ask you about it. I know you broached it with me. To talk more about it, to give perhaps another audience, certainly give more amplification to what you shared, so that we can appreciate it. Because as we talk about things like education, we shouldn't exclude, food security. As we talk about political maturity and constitutional advancement, whatever that means, we shouldn't ignore the social aspect of what society is, right? Yeah. And so all of these things are interconnected. And if your populace is unable because there's a fear, I got to be home by a certain time because, that's a bad area, I got to avoid that. Or if these negative things affect our quality of life, you can't ride in certain areas because of dogs or the drivers are just inconsiderate. Whatever that thing is, can you imagine if a society was afraid of its police who are there to serve and to protect? You don't call the police because when they don't respond in here, or when they do, they're going to come guns blazing. Doesn't matter if that's Cayman or California or, Hong Kong. Yeah. We need to know that we're safe and secure because we are contributing in a safe, secure way. It doesn't matter, boy. You got to be careful. It could be you today and tomorrow somebody else. Or today somebody and tomorrow you.
Like while we were in East End this morning, we heard reports of attempted robberies at the gas station in East End and stuff like really?
Wouldn't have seen that. Yeah.
We got a long way to go. We got to start to care a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the politicians are trying.
Yeah.
But the rest need to come alongside. And we rowing the same boat. Right now, our boat floating by herself. Yeah. COVID got us that we're a real island now. Mm-hmm. And it's time for us to tackle things our way. We can do it our way because we not got a whole pile of outside influence. If you listen to social media and you try to be like the rest of the world, then you not Caymanian. You're like the rest of the world. And I think we got to try to do is to care enough to make sure that everybody on this island has a future and a bright one.
Every single one here doing all that he or she can do.
So on this Youth Flex, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
Oh yeah, I'll be back. Me and some youth ambassadors. It could be really nice.
Well, Jamo, I enjoy, some days actually spending the whole hour listening. Some days I get almost all of it. When I do tune out, no disrespect. Here's a music break. That's okay. That's a music break. Let me go get this and then I come back.
Music breaks now. Good to Deidre doing a good job. We're featuring Bears Hammond every show this week. So. Yeah. This season.
And but I wonder because I can do other stuff, but it's the chat, if that's the way I can put it, the banter with the guests and with the hosts and the studio guests that I enjoy because there's a comfort, but there's also a conversation that conveys a particular messaging.
Yes.
And that, I think, is
it should be great today. Today, Chloe, the host, actually celebrates her birthday today.
Today?
Yeah, so it could be really, really nice. We'll try not to sing to her because I can't sing good.
Well, I promise you this much. Once I'm not singing, it's just on okay. But congrats to you and the entire team. God continue to guide you guys and for the continued effort to not just uplift and build our young people, but to let them feel nurtured and loved and guided and directed and counseled. And a word that we probably use improperly, discipline, chastise. It just means that you get good guidance and instruction.
That's it.
And that's what it means, man. So thanks very much for that, all right?
No problem. Thank you for your time. I got to go and start my preparations.
4 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah. It's a Wednesday. A couple of things happen on Wednesday. We started out with Mr. Art. You come back for Talk Today, and then you can conclude your sort of talk show, community involvement.
Do the trifecta.
The trifecta on a Wednesday. Tomorrow, though, Join us for Talk Today. We have an excellent guest who's going to give us a perspective, the economic, the social, the physical, the whole idea of population. His former expertise within the public service will bode well. His experience and education is going to give us a perspective. But if we don't engage tomorrow, we're not going to miss a whole lot.
Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good show.
That and the one that Mr. Banks could be doing. That I think we need to know where we're coming from.
Yep.
To really appreciate what we have as in terms of freedom.
Yep.
A lot of people they take it for granted. Yep. But had we been communists, we wouldn't be talking about International Youth Day.
There you go, man. Well, I'll say something else, but let's not until Friday.
That record might stay and get too late.
Tomorrow. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.